It began on a global stage during a primetime gala meant to celebrate cultural diplomacy, where Ibrahim Traoré, young, charismatic leader of Burkina Faso, stood in the wings, facing not diplomats or generals but a lineup of international celebrities, brought in to soften his image through high-profile endorsements. And while Traoré's recent ascent to power had been contentious, marked by accusations of coups and suspicions of authoritarian leanings, tonight was supposed to show a different image. A leader in harmony with global culture, someone progressive, enough to partner with world-famous entertainers, yet grounded enough in his country's African identity to resonate authentically. Instead, evening's opening act became the moment that could have defined him as a laughingstock after renowned. Global pop star Serena Hardadiva, known for her biting one-liners in social media, Jab stepped up to the mic right before his invited appearance and, with her trademark smirk, quipped, "We're all so excited to hear from the man who jokes about democracy as if it's a fashion accessory. You've got 60 seconds. Mister, show us what you actually do, not what you think you can do." And the audience let loose a ripple of nervous laughter that grew into uneasy applause. As cameras caught Traoré's jaw tightening, his composure flickering, and for a heartbeat it looked like the global elite had succeeded in flattening his aura with a well-timed barb. And yet, just as Serena smirked and lowered her sunglasses, expecting the humiliation mic drop that usually followed such a put-down, Traoré stepped forward in silence, eyes calm but determined, took the microphone with proper decorum, and with a still voice that belied the tension of the moment, began to sing not a political anthem, not a rehearsed diplomatic soliloquy, but a traditional Burkinabe folk song one his mother had taught him as a child, sung in his native Moor, with lines about unity, the land, and ancestral resilience. And as the first notes echoed through the hall rich, warm, unadorned, the room shifted. Initial surprise gave way to rapt attention, then hush, and then something remarkable. By the time he reached the chorus, English subtitles appeared on the giant screens, translating the poetry of sand and rain, hardship and hope, and even Serena Hart's posture softened, her smirk replaced by a look of unexpected admiration. While the global media cruelty of smartphones and flashbulbs paused in collective awe, broadcasting a moment of authenticity so pure that it cut across resentment and skepticism like sunlight through fog. And Traoré, eyes closed, voice unwavering, built to a crescendo that transcended the acoustics of the venue, until the final lyric dissolved in silence, leaving not a room full of snickering celebrities, but a gathering united by a shared moment of beauty, respect, and humility. And as the applause erupted, not polite but genuine, prolonged, and heartfelt, world took note, the moment spilling across social platforms in milliseconds. Ibrahim Traoré sang. Leader silences critics with melody. Heart-stopping more ballad. Influential voices on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok summoned recorded applause and praised the display of cultural power. With headlines like "Pop star mocked a coup leader, then he changed everything," and within hours, essays appeared in The Guardian, like The Washington Post, Africa News, in elite cultural journals, pondering whether this was a turning point in global optics on African leadership. Not bombastic addresses or carefully curated photo ops, but emotional connection crafted in song, rendered vulnerable in human reframing. Traoré, from coup suspicion to authentic voice, and prompting elites to ask, was he a mandarin of military commandor? Was he a singer with something profound to say? Meanwhile, analysts dug into the song's lyrics, how it was rooted in the peasant struggle, how it celebrated ancestors who resisted colonial rule, how it admitted pain, not power, how its fusion of tradition and modern performance signaled a political strategy unlikely to be scripted by spin doctors. And in the days that followed, Ibrahim Traoré's staff released the full live song video, unfiltered, racking up tens of millions of views. Music critics called the performance a rare example of soft power, while political scholars dissected its implications, that charisma can emerge not from pomp but from culture, that a leader's legitimacy can be built not only through ballots, but in the intangible communion between voice and listener, between memory and hope. And this dynamic applied especially in West African nations, where oral tradition carries more weight than planned talking points. And as international leaders adjusted their schedules, offering concert tickets instead of press conferences, the narrative crystallized. Ibrahim Traoré hadn't responded with the expected bravado. But with song, he hadn't shamed critics, but invited them to listen. And in that active listening, he gifted them something rare, a moment of empathy from a place they didn't expect. Reminder that politics and art are not enemies but allies, if wielded with sincerity and courage. And somewhere in a remote village outside Ouagadougou, elders wept upon seeing their humble folk tune turned political turning point, declaring proudly, "Our boy reminded the world of who we are." While global tweet storms turned that statement into a rallying cry for authenticity in politics everywhere, and Serena Hart, the singer who had mocked him, issued a public apology, signed with a recording of herself humming the melody in tribute, acknowledging that she had been wrong, that brilliance can wear more than one mask, and that sometimes the strongest voice is the one you hear in a quiet folk song, not a boisterous speech. And as she promised to collaborate on a duet, commentators raised the applause into a potential global cultural crossover, projecting that this event might inspire a wave of musical leadership statements, whether from African presidents, European prime ministers, or Latin American governors, shaping diplomacy not just through treaties, but through tweetable musical gestures, and all of it spiraling from a moment when Ibrahim Traoré, mocked on an elite stage, answered not with policy or accusation, but with song, and in doing so, silenced the world. Asterisk.